So this is a video I thought I'd never make, but it's one that I absolutely have to make because there are a lot of you that are either right at 100,000 subscribers, over 100,000 subscribers, or really, really close to it. And congrats that watch this channel, especially some of the new subscribers to this channel. I've noticed that since YouTube gave us a new feature in the dashboard, I've noticed that a lot of you who are peers of mine as content creators have been watching the videos. Thanks. And I wanted to talk to you honestly about some of the things you might be experiencing if you are a channel that is growing and being successful. And if you happen to have clicked this for whatever reason and you're a smaller channel that's not quite on the way to 100,000, just kind of keep this in mind for future reference. But it's not all sunshines and rainbows. So let's get into it. Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake helping you create something awesome today. Welcome back to the channel. I don't think most of you watching this are new here, but if you are, welcome. My name is Roberto Blake. I'm a creative entrepreneur. I'm a public speaker at events like VidCon and VidSummit, and I also make a lot of videos around social media marketing because that's my business as a coach. And today I want to make a video talking to my peers in the YouTube community, people who might have, a larger channel. Now I make a lot of videos that help, small channels that are getting started, but I also know that there are some of you who are more advanced, and I want to make more videos for people that might be at a different level in their journey, because I feel you get left out because the beginners are the largest audience that there is. So what happens when you succeed? That's something that nobody really prepares you for and talks to you about unless you're doing like one-on-one coaching, or you go to events like VidCon and VidSummit and local YouTuber meetups. If you're not talking to, and not everybody has people that they can reach out to and talk to, or a friend group of other content creators, it gets super lonely and you can get in your head very much about what's going on with your YouTube channel. You may be underpricing yourself for your brand deals. You might just be feeling isolated and lonely because, to be honest, your friends and your family may not understand what it is you're doing or how you're making your money or what your plans for the future are. You may not even know what your plans for the future are, and maybe you don't have all of your ducks in a row just yet. Maybe this happened and you are successful beyond your wildest dreams and imaginations, and you don't have a real plan for how to live with your success and with this newfound attention. And I know for a lot of you that might sound like a really good problem to have, and oh, woe is me, I'm a successful YouTuber, with a silver play button or whatever. And in this case, I'm also not talking just about myself, by the way. In my case, I had a plan for my overall business trajectory outside of YouTube, and it's just very fortunate that a lot of those things overlap. And I was planning to get here down the road much, much further, much longer down the road, but it just happened to move faster. So that's cool. But if you don't have a plan for success, then you've essentially planned for failure. And there's a lot of things that content creators don't talk about because they don't have an outlet for it. They don't have people that they can reach out to. So on the occasion that we get to go to things like conferences like VidCon and VidSummit and Video Marketing World and things like that, what happens is we get together and we have these conversations, usually small room conversations, or we get together and we do meetups. Some of us are in contact with each other. Thankfully, some of us have friends that don't just hit us up for collabs, because that's a thing sometimes. But there are a lot of you that might have grown a channel, and a lot of your friends who were on a YouTube journey with you, maybe they quit. And maybe you're like the last guy or the last gal standing, and everybody that started out with you either quit or they stagnated, and now you feel a little bit lonely because you don't have a YouTube friend group anymore. Sometimes you think that the answer is going to be reaching out to other creators at your level and trying to manifest new relationships out of thin air. But in reality, a lot of times you won't have things in common with those people beyond your status as YouTubers. I think it's more beneficial to try to build relationships with people in your actual community and from your audience, but also maybe creators that are on the come up, smaller channels on the cut up that are in your community that might be growing and could relate a little bit to what you're going through, or you can mentor them. And there's a lot of value in mentoring smaller channels. I've gotten a tremendous benefit from it. not just financially with the coaching business, but also just as another creator, understanding what other people are going through, analyzing different perspectives, and better realizing that I'm not alone in the things that I'm thinking and feeling and worrying about. So being able to have a support group of people that are actually in the industry and that you can talk to really matters. A lot of creators tell me that their friend, their family, even their significant others don't really get what this world is like. And so it's very hard to talk to them about your problems. And I think it's why a lot of creators also burn out when they hit 100,000 subscribers, because there's also the temptation to go full time. And that usually involves some very painful conversations and honest conversations with your friends and your family and your colleagues and your job and things like that, to tell people what it is that you've been up to all this time, what it is you're actually doing, and that you want to make a real commitment to it, and that you think this could be a new career. And a lot of people don't understand that because in their mind, it doesn't have a steady paycheck. Hate to break it to you, 21st century economy, there's no such thing as job stability. So there's that, but that's a topic for the podcast. By the way, if you guys haven't yet, do me a huge favor. I know I'm interrupting the video to plug myself here, but I would love for you to check out the Create Something Awesome Today podcast over in Apple/iTunes and over in SoundCloud, but especially in Apple, and drop me a rating and review. I want to make this one the #1 podcast in the world, and so I can't do it without your help. So go check out the Create Something Awesome Today podcast, and if you enjoy it, I really want to hear your feedback on it. But anyway, moving right along. When you want to go full-time on YouTube, it is a very difficult transition for a lot of people to make. I've had to help counsel creators through that transition. And I don't think that 100,000 subscribers is the milestone for deciding that you're going to commit to YouTube full-time. I think when you're making maybe close to twice as much money as you've been making up until now is the right move. And here's why. Here's a little bit of a kind of financial primer on YouTube, because a lot of you don't understand the money side of it. And for many of you, this is the most money you've ever made in your life. If you're at over 100,000, or if you're starting to do this full time, or you're thinking about it, it's because you're making more money on something you love than the money that you've made trading your time for money doing things you don't like, or that you're not passionate about, or that you're not really interested in, but it was a good job, right? And so there's a little bit of guilt about leaving a good job, knowing that other people appreciate those things and would love to have that kind of stability in their life. There's some guilt there that people feel, and that's real. There's also fear of, well, what if it doesn't work out? Am I gonna go crawling back? And then there's also the conversation with, is this responsible? How do I explain this to my friends and family? Now, a lot of you are gonna ask, well, what'd you do, Roberto? I didn't go and I didn't become a full-time YouTuber. I became a full-time freelancer by the time I had come to YouTube. And then I built a business as a full-time entrepreneur, which is basically a lot of the same type of approach and conversations. But in my case, it's something I'd done before. Yes, it wasn't as long-term successful when I did it in my early 20s. By the way, I just turned 35. So just some context there, because I know, eternal youth. That's what happens when you win Mortal Kombat. But the funny thing is that for me, having tried to go full-time freelancing or entrepreneur many times in my early 20s and only being able to sustain it for 6 months to a year at a time, I already knew what to expect in terms of the financial reality of being on my own and what happens when it doesn't work out, and then going back to a corporate job. I already understood how those things work, but this time, in my mid-20s, I was a lot more prepared to be a full-time freelancer, and I already knew and understood money and the value of money a lot better, and how to handle my finances. So I was much more prepared economically, and it worked out very well for me. And then with doing online business and affiliate marketing and creating multiple streams of income, something I've covered in multiple videos on the channel. Please watch the videos on passive income and affiliate marketing. Makes a real big difference when you can make an extra couple thousand a month. I think that those things definitely helped offset some of the instability that comes with having your own business or doing freelance. And I want to remind you that YouTube isn't a job in the way that many people, and I'm not one of those people that says, oh, YouTube's not a real job. I'm trying to tell you that any situation where the dollar amount is not fixed and guaranteed, and where there's not a financial obligation, Like, that's a very dangerous place to be. And understand that YouTube doesn't owe you a paycheck. And I know a lot of young people like to style this as, oh, my first YouTube paycheck or whatever. It's not a paycheck. It's a commission. You get a 1099. You're a contractor. You're not an employee. So in this instance, it's not a job in the form of traditional employment. It is contract work, and you are part of the gig economy. It's really close to being like a performer and taking a 55% cut of whatever the take is at the door, and you're not guaranteed that. And that's really weird, okay? The way that the YouTube business model works for people is weird. And that's why I'm really glad I have a coaching business and a membership group, and I do affiliate marketing, and now building out the podcast and doing all these other things outside of YouTube. And I've done those kind of things even from the beginning. I've always made YouTube extra. And YouTube that money was originally with the channel. For the first 3 years, I didn't make a lot of money. I'll talk about this in another video. The first 3 years, I didn't make a lot of money, and like an MCN was taking like 50% of my money for like 2 years till I renegotiated down to 10%. Like, that was a whole thing. And we'll talk about MCNs and stuff in another video. If you have questions about that, leave them in the comment section because that could be good material for that video. But my thing with that is I put that money back into the YouTube channel and into my business that I was building. And by that, I mean the infrastructure that all this shares in terms of hardware and computers and backups and services and Adobe and all that good stuff. And now the YouTube ad revenue that I make pretty much goes to the IRS. So taxes. For those of you who are trying to become full-time YouTubers because you're at 100,000, 200,000, 400,000, financially, some of the advice I would tell you is one of the reasons I say people should make double the money that they're making at their current job is the reality, and the harsh reality is that for many of you, the money that you made or that you're making at a day job isn't enough money to give you the lifestyle that you really want and allow you more freedom and flexibility to do things that you want to do. So quitting your job to do YouTube because you're making the same amount of money that you make at the day job, that's not the time to quit. And that's why I have to coach a lot of my members on is that's not the time to quit, because the money you're making isn't most of the time giving you the lifestyle you want anyway. So just making that same amount of money isn't good enough. And then you have to remember that you're going to be taxed differently when you're a contractor or an entrepreneur or self-employed than you were when you were an employee, and those taxes were coming out automatically from your paycheck. And you have to do things like your own insurance and healthcare coverage and all these other things. You have to have money set aside for a rainy day or for the days you can't make videos or if you have a bad month. And then the ads are inconsistent. And if you're popular on YouTube, you might be doing things that are triggering demonetization. So there's so many things that makes YouTube hard to make sustainable. And even without your friends and families or significant other knowing and understanding all those technical aspects of it the way that I do, they're still very fearful for your future and your income if you decide to tell them you want to quit your day job to be a YouTuber, right? So that's something you think about. Another thing a lot of you think about and have talked to me about is what happens if YouTube doesn't work out one way or another. I always think about, well, the platform and the logistics of the platform for at least the type of content I make are probably always going to be viable in some way. And I can always use it to market my business, and I can use it to grow my email list. But I have a very business-oriented or education-oriented channel for people who are educators or doing pop culture stuff or anything like that. I know it's very different, and I appreciate that. A lot of my coaching clients, they have these different niches that they're in. A lot of them are in things like entertainment or commentary or tech or fashion, beauty, makeup, gaming. In growing those channels, there's always been a different approach, but the financial aspect of those channels has always been more challenging because in itself, diversifying income in some channels is much easier, like mine, than it is in other types of channels. And then some people just aren't very good at it. And that's why they lean heavily on YouTube AdSense and on sponsors, even though they know it's not stable and it doesn't last forever. And it's just hard for them to figure out how to transition and do something else that makes money. And so what I tell them sometimes is to look at something outside of the niche that you're in or the community that you're in, and remember that you have the skills of a successful YouTuber. You figured out how to get tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers in social media. By itself, that is a skill set that provides people a living. So you can figure that out. And then there are brands that you could work with, not just as an influencer, but you can work as a consultant, or you can work as an ambassador for the brand, or you could work on the product development team within a brand, or you can get in on the industry side. A lot of YouTubers that are very successful with millions of subscribers become part of this industry. Sometimes that means building businesses like me. I built a business that helps support content creators in the industry, but also entrepreneurs that work within this industry, and I support brands that work within this industry, not just as an influencer or a brand ambassador, but as an advisor and as a consultant, doing workshops, doing things that instead of doing product reviews, you know what I often do? I actually help with product development on the back end for certain businesses and organizations, sometimes as an advisor. Okay. And sometimes that means you can become an investor in the company and get shares. Sometimes you can take a position in the company as an advisor or a consultant and get a contract and get a salary, essentially by working from the company. You still are independent and you're not quite an employee, but you have a role within the organization. And in many cases, it's on your own terms, which is pretty dope. So consider that your exit strategy from YouTube and being a content creator one day could be becoming part of the industry by either working within a company, an organization, a brand. Some people have moved on and literally went to go work for YouTube itself. So I just want you to consider that you have value to the industry and to the future content creators, but also to the brands in a very interesting way. And that if you're a successful YouTuber, then you're a successful social media marketer. And there's nothing wrong with growing up and growing into an industry that you are a part of in one way and then transitioning to another part of that industry. I did that as a designer. I moved from being a designer to taking over marketing within an organization and doing social media and management on that side. And then I moved into that in my own business, going from being a freelance designer and a freelance creative, video editor, photographer, and all those things to actually being a freelance social media marketer within organizations. And then later I flipped that and became a consultant. Instead of doing their execution, I started doing their strategy. So it's an evolution. It's like starting out as a Charmander and then evolving into a mighty Charizard. For those of you who are Pokemon nerds, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's an evolution. And I think that a lot of time content creators are scared of change. They're scared to evolve. They're scared to adapt. The algorithm is something that a lot of people are obviously concerned about. And the thing is, you just never fully know whether you're going to be on the right side of what YouTube's goals are versus what your goals are. Trying to be in alignment with that and still deliver for your audience is a challenge that I know a lot of creators go through, especially as they grow. But I also think a lot of it comes from the pressure to succeed and to be seen as successful instead of defining what success means for you. Once you get 100,000 subscribers and you get a silver play button, all anyone cares about is when are you going to get to 1 million? What are you trying to get to 1 million? When's 1 million going to happen? Most people, to be real with you, sometimes don't even let you just enjoy the fact that you got 100,000 people to say yes to you and to care about what you do at some point. All anyone wants to judge is, hey man, your subscriber ratio is down, or hey, like, why are your views down? Or why aren't you getting even more? Why didn't you double your subscribers this year or something? Like, it's nonsense. There's nothing wrong with being a less than 1 million subscribed channel. There are 300 million YouTube channels, according to there was this thing I was listening to with Pat Flynn's podcast, because it's interesting. There are 1 million active or less than 1 million active podcasts in the world, and there are 300 million YouTube channels in the world. There are like 50 million channels that are uploading at any given day, and there's 400 hours, is it? 400 hours of video uploaded every single minute of every single day on this platform. That's huge. There are 12,000 channels as of making this video. They've gotten a gold play button. And like, when you look at half of them, it's Vevo music channels and it's corporations. And sometimes it's the second channel of an established YouTuber that has 10 million. So, I mean, it's okay to not be one of the actual probably 6,000 humans out of 12,000 channels that have climbed Mount Everest versus the hundreds of millions of people that are just making content. And it's nice that anyone even cares, and they get to do it for free and sometimes make money off of it. No one just lets you enjoy that anymore. So my final thoughts to my fellow creators, if you're watching this, one, I want to know if you relate to a lot of the things that I've talked about here. If you're a successful channel that is like at 100,000 or close to 100,000, I think these are things that you must be thinking about the way that me and others do. And I'd really love to foster more conversations around this. And also for those of you who are watching this, regardless of what size you are, if you are a content creator that's looking for, one, some guidance in terms of success, you're looking for a network of peers that you can talk to about what you're dealing with and also get some advice, feedback, and information, I'd invite you to join Awesome Creator Academy's membership group or to do one-on-one coaching with me. I'm gonna link to the info on that in the description down below. There might also be one in the info card up here somewhere, but basically I built awesomecreatoracademy.com and set that up because when I was getting started as a YouTuber, there wasn't a lot of like YouTube help or advice channels. And also I didn't think that that was a thing. And I didn't know how invested I would become in making content more than just like, at the time it was 1 video a week. Now I'm kind of back to 1 video a week because of the business stuff, but wanting to do more. And there really just wasn't a lot of people I could talk to about this. And I didn't collab with anybody all the way up to like 100,000 subscribers. It was just me and my audience, you. And so that was it. I didn't really reach out to and talk to a lot of other creators. There were a few friends who were marketers like Amy Landino that are also content creators that I talked to, people like my friend Owen Video. And so I had a handful of creator friends that were business people, but the only like YouTuber that I used to really talk to at the time was David DeFranco. Really good dude, like OG content creator, killing it. And so I really built something that would have been for like me when I was trying to wrap my head around all of this. And I know I needed other people to talk to and bounce ideas off of, because that would have made things easier. There's a lot of information that was very simple stuff that when I finally figured it out, I'm like, why did nobody tell me this? And why didn't I have a place where I could just get this information? So I put together a membership group that you guys can join. There's also training in there if you want my exclusive YouTube training. And also there's one-on-one coaching that you could do with me if that's something you're into. So wanted to let you know that I get it. And by the way, for those of you who can't afford it, guess what you got? Free content, free content. So anyway, that's just something that I wanted to make you aware is on the table, because most of you don't know that I don't make all of my money here on YouTube, and like that's not how I do my business. It's that I have an actual business. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave me your comments down below. Let me know what you're going through as a content creator. Question of the day, question of the day. What for you does success on YouTube look like? What is your version of success on YouTube? I would love to know in the comment section, so hit up the question of the day. Like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other awesome stuff here on the channel. As always, you guys, thanks so very much for watching, and don't forget, go out there and create something awesome today. Take care.